and amplify your message. All right, today is a free branding workshop for therapists. So, man, a lot of you guys already know me, but if you don't know me, this is who I am. I'm a licensed professional counselor in North Carolina and also in California. Built my first practice in San Francisco, California, and learned a lot of things the hard way. Started Private Practice Workshop as just a blog, a place to put my ideas, and since then it has grown into so much more. Um, it has grown into a podcast. I've got online courses, got a Facebook community. And from that company, I realized, okay, a lot of therapists want to learn marketing themselves. They want to learn digital marketing themselves. And there's also a lot that we want to just leave to the experts. So I founded a second company called Unconditional Media, excuse me, so that we can have people to do the heavy lifting for you. I'm all about helping you figure out where that line is between the stuff you want to do yourself and the stuff that is better left to the pros, right? The people who eat, sleep, and breathe digital marketing or Google AdWords or whatever, the same way that we eat, sleep, and breathe therapy. So I'm all about helping you make that decision, figuring out where that line is. I've been doing these webinars as a way to just kind of get the word out more again and deliver the lessons that I've learned through practice building and building multiple businesses, so that you can take this stuff and implement it into your own practice. Who are you and who is this webinar for? You are a therapist somewhere in the world, all over the world really, in private practice, and you are looking to improve your business, to clarify your message to clients, to understand more about branding essentials, so that you can reach more people and reach them in a clearer way and make sure your message is received and is speaking to the right people in the right way. So if you want more ideal clients, not just any client, I want you to type yes in the chat box. We'll be using this as a way to kind of interact. So again, if you want clients, but not just any client, type yes. Make sure you're on board and you're in the right place. Doug says definitely. All right, everyone's on board. Let's talk about, Kristen says thumbs up. There should be a thumbs up button. That would be easier. Today's outline, we're going to talk about kind of some branding essentials. What is branding? Why is it so important, right? What is a brand? I'm going to introduce a couple concepts: brand consistency, brand recognition, right? You're going to be branding experts by the end of this. And we're going to talk about slogans and mission statements. I'm going to help you start to craft one today. Again, if you've done coaching with me, you know that I'm really into this stuff, and I probably helped you start to craft your own. But let's look at yours today. Let's see how we can improve it. There's always more we can do around our branding work. This is fun stuff because it's not technical, it's creative, right? And I think a lot of therapists are creative people, right? A lot of us lean toward that creativity side more so than maybe the scientific or the engineering side. So that's why I think this stuff is really fun. You can really play with it and kind of be expressive through it. So then we're going to talk about, again, through slogans, mission statements, how you're clarifying that message to your clients, and then how to take all of that and let it inform the way you write your web copy. So how to write irresistible web copy that is based on your brand. And then finally, just like last time, there's going to be a couple free giveaways toward the end. We're going to give away a service from Private Practice Workshop and one from Unconditional Media. So neat opportunity there. And then there's going to be a special offer for all participants, similar to last time. So there is reason to stick around. So today's webinar is going to be recorded live. That recording will be emailed to you. Like I said, Carol says, I like free. Yeah, very cool. Me too. You can use that chat feature, interact, share your thoughts. I want you guys to be as interactive as possible. I like it when you all are engaging with each other and then engaging with me. There's going to be multiple opportunities for questions throughout the webinar. So if you've got them, you can ask them now or as they come up, but you might want to save it for that section to make sure that they get answered. Say hi to our webinar moderator, Kat. She is in the room to help you out if you have technical issues. If you ask questions, she can put them aside, and then she'll be picking our winners randomly toward the end. We'll go for about 45 minutes to an hour today. You can some people might even be in the car, driving on your commute, wherever you are. But we'll move through this stuff fairly quickly, but not so quickly that you get overwhelmed. All right, I want you to start off by thinking about your favorite brands and the feelings and images that they evoke. Okay, you might even think about what you're wearing right now, right? So, like, what kind of shirt are you wearing? What kind of shoes are you wearing? Why did you choose those, and why do you like that brand? Sometimes it's hard to even know why we like a certain brand. It's almost indescribable. Um, I want you to type some of your favorite brands in the chat box. All right. Again, it might be the clothing that you're wearing. It might be the drink that you're drinking right now, the kind of coffee that you like. Um, where you can think a lot about brand loyalty because brand loyalty is a really um, a really significant driver in the way that people and consumer behavior in the way that people buy. So Josh is drinking Yogi tea. Yeah, I know you're a tea guy. Bare Minerals, makeup brand, Ferrari. That's a cool one. Mountain Hardwear, Apple, Adidas. I hope you have a Ferrari. That'd be amazing. Carhartt. That's one of my favorite brands. That is a very strong brand, and their clothes are incredible. Brian says Apple because it evokes simplicity. That's fantastic. Apple is a very idolized brand, very strong brand. So again, think about what you like about this brand, right? If this brand were a person, how would you describe that person, right? Nathan's gonna own a Ferrari someday. That's you need both. That would be awesome. Again, you trust these brands, but why do you trust them? Can you identify exactly why you trust them, why you like them so much, right? Maybe part of it's because you've always, been drinking yogi tea, right? You have this kind of brand loyalty with them. There's something about that, right? Something about that familiarity. So um, here we go. So familiarity breeds likeness. Okay, if you remember your social psychology class as an undergraduate, this is a really popular concept in social psych. The more you are around a person, or in this case, a product or a thing or a brand, it's going to breed likeness and that kind of positive regard for something or someone. It's the effect of, when you're at work or you work at a company or a hospital or something, and the more you're around people, just simply by being around them more, you start to favor them more and you like them more. So again, familiarity breeds likeness. Repetitive exposure in a positive context also breeds more likeness, right? So, and you think about all the brands that are, if you're a sports fan, that are there on the field or on the sidelines or in advertisements, etc., or on a player's helmet, whatever it is, exposing people to these brands in these positive contexts is one of the ways that people gain this sense of knowing and liking and trusting a brand. So there's a lot that's happened for you psychologically to get to this point where you know, like, and trust a brand so much that you make that choice over and over again for Yogi Tea products over their competitor, in part because you don't even know why, right? So that part of that is good branding, and part of that is it's something in that brand resonated with you. All right. What is the function of your brand, right? To build that trust and recognition, right? And one way we build trust is by repetition. The more repetition we can kind of accomplish, the more recognizable our brand is going to be. Our brand conveys who you are and who you're for. All right, this is super critical. So who you are, kind of what your identity is, and who you're for. When I think of Carhartt, for example, I think of, who is Carhartt for? Well, they're for people who work outside. They're for people who work with their hands. It's for that kind of the working class. Now they've expanded into other sections, and actually a lot of hipsters like to wear Carhartt now because the product is so good, but they're such a strong brand that people know exactly who they're for, at least primarily who they're for. Just as you just as you want it to convey who you are and who you're for, you want it to also convey who you're not for, right? So Carhartt isn't for maybe those city slickers who want fashion over function, right? So their brand is gonna include some people and exclude others. Not a bad thing, right? All right. Again, it prepares people to choose you once they need your product. So I see a lot of people getting really confused about the purpose of social media for your private practice. We could do an hour on this, but excuse me, it is a good way to send people to your website. It is a good way to, if you're actually doing a lot of good content and sending people to your website. But also, let's say if you were just running Facebook ads or something and you just want to get like your brand and your logo out there, that might be a way to just increase that brand recognition and familiarity in a group of people who aren't necessarily looking for therapy right now. I can't stress this enough. Understanding the difference between I am marketing to people who are actively seeking therapy versus I am marketing to people who might need therapy 6 months from now, or maybe their friend might need therapy and they might remember my brand because I've exposed them to it, right? Or I expose them to it now, and then 6 months from now, when they're looking for their own therapist, they see me, they see my brand again, they recognize it, they know, like, and trust it because of exposure, and they're more likely to buy and become a paying customer. Am I losing anyone yet? All right. So um, think about your brand. What is your brand? And maybe this is the first time you thought about this. That's totally fine, um, totally understandable. What is your brand, and what kind of feelings and images do you want it to evoke? So it's not just what you want to evoke as a person, as a clinician, as a therapist. It's your brand, and your brand is you, but it's also a little bit bigger than you. Okay. If you're taking notes, just brainstorm, right? So maybe it's certain feelings or images, or colors, or whatever it is. Get creative with it, but think about what you want your brand to evoke. This is a fun question. All right. So if your product could talk, what would it say? Right now, it would be different if we were selling a gadget or something, right? And we're not selling a gadget. Our product happens to be us. So this is where it can be kind of tricky for therapists to really do their own branding and understand branding. Um, but it's kind of a clever question to ask, right? If your product could talk, what would it say? If it could speak for itself. If you own a group practice, what would your group practice say, right? If it had kind of a mind and a voice of its own. All right, one more question to kind of help you explore what your brand is. This is a friend of mine, Nikki Bonsall, who's a branding expert. This is her question, or at least one that she introduced me to. If you were to meet your client in a restaurant of your choice, which I know we wouldn't do, what would it be? And I want you to type your answer now. Clam bake. Never heard of it. Maybe some local restaurants here that you can think of. Curious what Josh is going to say. Living Kitchen, yeah, it's a great vegan spot. So a healthy place, a wellness place, a local authentic brew pub called the Rusty Rail. Yeah, it's awesome, right? Like, isn't it's so yeah. There's so much that your answer kind of says about you and your brand just by that. Nathan, we'll come back to that. We're going to talk about slogans for sure, but this is just a way to kind of get us warmed up, get the gears turning for thinking about your brand. Again, your brand is your brand, but also your brand is you. So we're going to kind of wrap our minds around this as best we can today. Any questions so far? So it might be a little early for questions. So I might just keep running until the next second here. But again, I just want to get you warmed up, thinking about your brand, doing some brainstorming, jotting down some notes, starting your creative process. All right, so how does a therapist convey their brand? There's a lot of different ways you convey your brand, whether you know it or not. And whether or not you've thought about your brand, you have one, and you are conveying it in a number of different ways. Okay, so you're conveying it visually through your website, your logo, colors, images, and fonts. They all say something about you and about your brand and who you're for, right? you convey your brand through delivering the product, which again, the product is you. The product is an hour of therapy with you or with one of your clinicians, right? Um, so the way you do it, the kind of therapy you do, the way you greet your client in the lobby, right? The music that's playing in the lobby, if there is any, the way the office is decorated is all part of your brand, right? Again, whether you know it or not, you're conveying something through all that stuff. And why not be intentional about it, right? It starts with the identity, though. It starts by figuring out what is my brand in the first place and what am I trying to convey. Hopefully the gears are really turning now. We convey our brand verbally, right? Through our web copy, through what you say on the phone, how you answer the phone, how you talk to clients, right? And then kind of the language you use. Are you using their language? Are you using really technical, jargony language, right? All this stuff is gonna go into it. Okay. So the part that we're gonna focus on for now is the verbal part and really the part of with words, right? So I promised today we're gonna work on mission statements and slogans. So that's exactly what we are going to do. All right. Maybe you have a mission statement, but I bet a lot of you don't. Actually, raise your hand. Say yes if you have a mission statement. Type that in the chat box. I'm really curious how many people already have one. Doug has one. Nailed it. He's ahead of the game. Who else has one? Sort of, yeah. Sort of is probably also really common. Like sort of, kind of accidentally have a mission statement. Not yet. Practice is not open, so it's a great time for you to be creating, doing this stuff now, doing this visioning work. Nancy says want one, but don't have one yet. You're in the right place. Okay, so in this creative process, all right, whether you create a mission statement first or a brand mantra or a slogan or tagline first, doesn't really matter. I think sometimes it can be easier to start with the mission statement because the slogan can be just a shorter, like quick punch version of that, and it can inform that. The mission statement is part of how you know who you are, though, and what you're really doing this all for. And you got to go beyond just helping people. You got to go beyond just therapy, right? Just I'm doing therapy or I do CBT, right? Beyond describing what the product is, you want to focus on the impact of your product, right? Let that kind of settle down for a second. Not just focusing on what the product is and describing it, which we do a lot of. We really want to describe the outcome and kind of the impact of our product, okay? So some questions for you. If you're taking notes, here are some good things to jot down. At the end of your career, what do you want to be able to know that you have accomplished? Okay. So again, it's not just that I did therapy or I helped anxious kids, right? It's that kind of through therapy or through helping anxious kids, I made the community better. I made the community stronger. I helped reduce human suffering in the world so that there's less pain or less violence or more homeostasis in the world. Like I want you to think really big about the ripple of your product, the ripple of your work, kind of the true fruits of your labor beyond what you can see. Am I blowing anyone's mind? Because this kind of blew my mind when I started thinking about it. All right, now we're quiet, so who knows what we're thinking. Another way to think about this is what is your legacy, right? So I blew your wife's mind. Good enough. But Doug, I didn't blow Doug's mind. He's still impressed. Um, so again, it's about your legacy, the ripple of your work. All right. If you haven't thought about that, think about it now. It's a good opportunity. I want you to aim big, bigger than you think. And you might just think, well, I'm just one person in private practice, just trying to get my individual caseload full. Okay, that's great, but think bigger than that, really big. Think way beyond yourself, way beyond just the therapy that you're doing, right? Beyond the product, focus on the impact. All right, hopefully this is making sense so far. Again, a lot of this is new for therapists, so I wouldn't be surprised if some folks are just now thinking about this stuff. They're just thinking about the terms and concepts. So that's totally cool as well. Everyone's kind of in a different place with this stuff. So we'll have questions here after this next section, but I want to show you some examples of mission statements. All I want you to do, I'm going to read them out and you can read them here, and I want you to just kind of react to them. And I want you to type in the chat box kind of your reactions. I'm going to show you a lot of different kinds. Apple designs Macs, the best personal computers in the world, along with OS X, iLife, iWork, and professional software. Now, given what I just said, given my kind of standards for a mission statement, how does this strike you? Thumbs down. Yeah, it's boring, right? It's just describing the product, and it's old. So this is the thing. Yeah, this is the official statement, the official mission statement that I found for Apple. But certainly Apple has catchier slogans, and actually, it's Tim Cook, I believe, says a lot catchier things about the mission of Apple. But and their advertising is a whole different story. The advertising is phenomenal because they do talk more about the outcome of their product and the impact of the product on your life. But I just want to show you that again, this is the mission that they generally kind of operate from. Um, yeah. Money, money, money. All right, this is an interesting one. For so long, people thought Airbnb was about renting houses, but really we're about home. You see, a house is just a space, but a home is where you belong. So there's a sense of belonging, right? What makes this global community so special is that for the very first time, you can belong anywhere. Like, wow, that's pretty groovy. That is the idea at the core of our company, belonging. Thoughts, impressions? Two thumbs down. Jeff doesn't like it. He's not impressed. Other people like it. Too long. Yeah, it's pretty long. Doug likes it. I like it. I think it's long. Sure, it's long, but and they you could really boil it down, but it's this sense of belonging, right? We go beyond, um, oh, two thumbs up. Sorry, Jeff. I was like, man, two thumbs down. It's harsh. Jeff likes it. Um, So again, it's this kind of reframe. You're not just what you do. That Airbnb helps you rent, enables you to rent an apartment in a new city. It helps you belong in that city, right? You're in someone's home. There's a sense of community, right? Yeah, it's more emotive, right? Yeah, I see myself in the mission statement. I'm invited into the story. Yeah, right. So it's a lot more compelling. Super interesting, right? All right, here's another one. Here's a special one. Well, not the one I wanted yet, but we'll go over this one. Innovating new solutions to make things easier, faster, better, and more cost effective. Does anyone know who this is? Or you could guess? It's a company you all know. I'd be amazed if someone knows this. Anne likes it. Mary says boring, tired. Lee nailed it. Christiana nailed it. Yeah, it's Amazon. What are your thoughts about it, right? So I just took an excerpt of it, but this is part of it. They have a really long um, mission statement. This is what they do. And here's the other thing about Amazon is that they're such a gigantic company and they do so many different things now that their mission statement is going to be a little bit more general. Sounds like something Jeff Bezos would say. Yeah. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, it's kind of techie, right? They're all about efficiency. There's not a lot of warmth to it, but they do what they do. They do what they do best, right? You. Most people probably have an Amazon Prime package on their porch right now waiting for you. All right, let's go to a couple more examples, right, before we start thinking about our own mission statements. To make the world a more open and connected place. Who knows who this is? Nathan nailed it. Man, you had this answer ready to go. Yeah, Kat knows this one as well, our moderator. Um, This is an impressive one, right? Because rather than just explaining what Facebook is or what the product does, which is it's a it's a social media platform that allows you to like and share and post and repost the happenings of your life, they really focus on the impact, right? To make the world a more open and connected place. Pretty huge. That's straight from Zuckerberg. Pretty amazing stuff. Pretty powerful. Everything that company does comes right back to that mission. Right. If you ask the employees, they know it. This is what they learn in orientation. It's a very values-driven company, which makes it one of the best companies in the world to work for because they're so value-driven. Everything they do comes back to this. All right, so I will show you some of the branding work we've been doing with one of my companies, Unconditional Media, and you can kind of react to that or just see as we start merging into therapist world, right? So you spent years of your life learning to become a therapist on top of thousands of dollars. You've opened your practice, but what if no one can find you, right? So starting to speak to the pain of therapists, right, and the challenges we face. So we're the industry standard for digital marketing private practice. We approach your marketing holistically, comprehensively, from the core of your brand to the most effective digital marketing strategy imaginable. And again, I know this one's not perfect. I'm explaining a little bit about what the product is, right? But then we transition into what is really the mission is that we help therapists help answer the biggest and most stressful questions, should say question, not client, in the minds of every therapist. How am I going to get more clients? We help you clarify and amplify your message so that more people can find the help they need in you. Wow, I really butchered reading that. Um, in a nutshell, right, we help you help more people, right? So the product is digital marketing, the service is digital marketing. The outcome is that we help you help more people, okay? There is a kind of a proper flow of the way that you should expose people to your different brand elements. And roughly, in looking at this is a homepage for Unconditional Media. When you land, this is the image, this is the picture that is called above the fold. It's the first section of the site that you see when you land. And you encounter a couple of things. You encounter the most valuable brand asset, the logo, right, top left, one version of the logo. You encounter the name of the company, you encounter the slogan, and a call to action, right? And then right below this, you're going to read about the mission. So there's this kind of flow, and if you're thinking about your own therapist website, you want to think about that flow as well, right? And again, so you saw my stuff is not perfect, right? It's an evolving thing, and especially for a younger company, like as we figure out kind of who we are. That's going to change and evolve, just like you change and evolve as a person. So don't feel like you have to nail it the first time. Um, all right, I think we're getting close to questions. Yeah, right after this slide. So get your questions ready here, or you can start typing them now. Think about what is the heart and soul of your company, right? Again, last time, what is the ripple effect of your product, not just the product itself? All right, are you with me? It looks like Nathan is typing something, maybe a question. He says, I believe my slogan totally nails this. Awesome, that's great. Pain, hope, solution. Yeah, it's a good little mnemonic way to think about how we speak to clients. All right, if you got questions, type them now. Otherwise, we'll roll into our next section on slogans. We're moving right along here. We'll probably finish a little early today, packing a lot in here. But if you got a question, I'll pause here to answer anything that comes through. Nathan had a question on slogans. Should they speak to what your practice would say? I think so. Yeah, I think so. And they also can just be something, yeah, something punchy that kind of explains the impact of the results of your product. And we'll get into slogans here in a second. Um, yeah, can I repeat what should be included above the fold? Slogan, call to action. What else? Yeah, so again, they're encountering your brand assets. So that logo, top left, ideally you want two calls to action. So top right, a button or some call to action. So we have get started in the top right. I'm pointing to my screen as if you can see it. And then you have, yeah, I can use this little pencil. So you have a get started call to action here, which ideally is a big bright button. So I even want us to change that. And then you have a call to action here. And then as you scroll down, the next thing you see is going to be the mission. And then we start talking to the pain of clients and what we do. We introduce the service. We want to get people warmed up. All right. Let me see here. Doug's having connectivity issues. Sorry about that. Heart and soul, my companies that teens and their families will live more healthy, productive lives. Yeah, pretty straightforward, right? Um, yeah, so Brian's been studying the story brand framework. Donald Miller, awesome stuff. If you haven't already checked it out, it is a free podcast on building a story brand. I've learned a lot from him. You guys, the brand is not the hero of the story, but rather the guide. Yes, that is true. Very true. Yep, Carol's slogan, healing through connection. Very cool. All right, we'll answer questions again soon, but let's roll right into slogans here, just so we're staying on time. The heck is a slogan or a tagline or a brand mantra? There's all sorts of names for it. Doesn't really matter. It's just a short, memorable phrase to encourage someone to keep reading. That's the way I see it, right? And again, when we go back to your website layout and the elements, the branding elements that people encounter right off the bat, to me, it's kind of logo, name, or slogan right off the bat, and then call to action. Right? And the call to action might just be keep reading, read more. Okay, so just a short, memorable phrase to encourage someone to keep reading. Well, to either keep reading or to go, hey, this isn't for me, right? This isn't the right place for me. Carhartt isn't for me, right? I'm in the wrong place. That's totally fine as well. I just thought this was hilarious. According to Webster, the slogan is a Scottish Highland war cry. I was like, that's kind of cool. You can think about that as when you're crafting your own slogan, right? It's like if you were to have this war cry, what would it be? It's like you got one thing that you can scream and yell. Most therapists don't really scream and yell, so maybe it'd be like a soft, gentle statement, but still a war cry. All right, Blue Sage Counseling and Wellness, where science meets soul, a holistic approach to trauma. All right, there you go. It'd be fun to kind of rework that a little bit, maybe make it even punchier than it is now. But I like the direction of it, where science meets soul. Interesting, very interesting, right? Blending kind of the artistic with the scientific. Again, a slogan is your chance to affirm that the client is in the right place or to send them away if they're not in the right place. Okay? Jeff says, I like science meets soul. Cool. Yeah, a lot of people throwing out their taglines. Awesome. Get some feedback there. You probably know this slogan, right? So, who knows the slogan for Allstate? Allstate, what comes next? You're in good hands, right? Yeah, we all know it, whether or not we actually have Allstate. I bet a lot of people don't even have Allstate. Carol doesn't like them, so she probably doesn't even want to say the slogan. But the fact of the matter is, you know it. You know it, you know it, you know it. You've been exposed to it over and over again. And even if you don't use them currently, you probably would consider it. You probably know, like, and trust that brand. You've been exposed to them so many times. Skittles. I won't do too many of these. I just had to do a couple just to prove a point with that brand repetition, right? Taste the rainbow. Whether or not you've ever had Skittles in your life, you know it. It's pretty incredible. All right, I'm going to show you, this is where we're really going to get into a lot of different therapist slogans, and I'm going to show you some that I like. I'm going to show you some that I think could use some work. Again, there's no feelings hurt here. It's just, we're always working on it. And some of these are actually from slogans that my coaching clients have crafted recently. So I threw some of these in here. So let's get into it. So I've worked on this for quite some time. So for Private Practice Workshop, our slogan is practice building without the hysteria. Again, you can just kind of digest that and see if it resonates with you, see what it means, think about the other examples of practice coaching you see out there, or stuff like that. Carol says it's true, you are calming. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. Let's roll into some therapist slogans. And again, just see how you react to it. A lot of this is very personal, right? Again, it's not scientific, it's more creative. Doug says my wife loved this. I think your wife should be on the keyboard. She's liking everything, huh? That's funny. I'm glad she likes it. All right, so recently I was working with a couple who own a practice and they do couples therapy. I don't think they're in here, but if they are, there you go. And we came up with, over a lot of iterations, CMR counseling better together. And this, we got here. Oh, you guys are here. So we got to this through a lot of iterations and a lot of lengthier iterations, trying to capture what the couple really believe about therapy and about how they're different, how their practice is different, right? Simple, punchy. When we landed on it, they both went, yeah, I like that a lot. That says a lot. And I was asking them questions like, how would people describe the two of you as a couple, right, outside of therapy, right? And they talked about this sense of togetherness, that as a couple, people would describe them as just very together all the time, right? And so that's how we kind of landed on this. Again, this is just fun. This is really fun stuff to do. All right, I looked up a bunch of other ones just for examples. SF Counseling Center, high quality, affordable therapy. What are your reactions? Mary says, okay. A little bland. Carol doesn't like it. Brian says, just trying to attract clients. Yeah, it feels cheap. Yeah, isn't that funny how they're saying high quality yet affordable therapy and then it feels cheap to you? It's really interesting, right? Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. Again, it's just up there. And ironically, this is one of the highest ranking counseling websites in San Francisco, which is crazy to me. But their slogan is pretty awful. So if the owner of this practice is in here, I'm sorry, but call me and let's work on it. Um, this tells me nothing about who you are. Again, like this doesn't evoke any feeling in me. I'm not impressed. I'm not compelled to read on or to click through, right? I'm just not feeling it. Okay. A lot of you know this company. They're one of the few franchise therapy franchises. ThriveWorks. You can thrive. We can help. Thoughts? So, good, nah. Nathan's not impressed. Rob, eh. We got meh and eh. Don't like it, but I've heard they do good work. So that's really interesting too, right, Carol? That you don't like that slogan, but you've heard they do good work. So sometimes the brand can sell itself through the product and reputation. Um, Also, they're a huge franchise. They've got locations all over the country, including in Charlotte. So they have a really interesting model. You could check them out. Their websites are quite thorough. But yeah, it's the word thrive is used again, so it's kind of on brand for them. They're elaborating on this idea of thriving. Um, yeah, so Nathan's saying they don't do the work, it's the therapist franchisees that do the work. That's right. It's a turnkey practice, basically. Like if you were to purchase a McDonald's franchise and open it up, the brand's going to do everything for you. Yeah, over here in Kaiser land, the word thrive is strongly associated to Kaiser, which I have negative associations to. That's super interesting, right? Yeah, I know a lot about Kaiser. I used to be a Kaiser member, and it's interesting. They do use that word thrive a lot and are really trying to capitalize on that word. But you have your own associations with that company, with Kaiser, for other reasons, regardless of the word thrive. And I bet it has something to do with your actual experience with the brand, not with the marketing. But it's interesting. So even though they're using the word thrive, right, you still have those negative associations. So again, like you never know how people are going to arrive at their own kind of connotations for you and your brand. Yeah, Tracy, I guessed it. But you want to think about what are the possible associations that people could have, right? All right, one more, a couple more. The Well Clinic, Therapy Reimagined. Guess where this practice is located? And what are your thoughts? Nathan says Colorado or California. A good guess is it's California. The San Francisco-based practice. It's a huge, huge practice, actually. Great practice, great people. Really good branding. If you want to look at their website, Well Clinic or Well Clinic SF or something, you can Google it. Yeah, Tracy would have said Bay Area, right? Because it's kind of techy. It's like therapy reimagined. It's like kind of this new in vogue thing. Like has this techie feel to it. Innovative. Carol says innovative or weird. Not sure which. That's honest. Leaves me with questions. Yeah, right. So it's not super descriptive, right? Like reimagined how? Are we going back to the old ways and is it Freudian? Like are we tripping acid together? Are we doing dream analysis? What are we doing here? Is it ethical? Yeah, right. Questions that it raises for you. It's interesting. All right, now go easy on me. Here's the slogan coming at you for my group practice, right? Charlotte Counseling Wellness will help you find calm again. Um, we work with a lot of busy, anxious professionals. We do a lot of different kinds of work because we're a group practice. So this is something I arrived at after probably 4 or 5 different iterations of totally different slogans. So it works for us. It's straight to the point. Most people can agree that they want to be calmer again. They want to find that calmness in their life again, and something that's throwing them off. So just a million ways to do it, guys. But just have fun with it. You know, no big promises. Yeah, right. No big promises. True. All right, one more that is just again another coaching client. Please don't steal any of these. Please, please, please. Just should have said that at the beginning. Find your own. Right. You can be inspired by some of these, but don't steal. Not cool. I've seen that happen a lot actually. Just because you're in a different city doesn't mean you can steal. So Queen City Wellness here for you. Again, this was after many iterations, a lot of longer iterations that were too wordy, too jargony, etc. And this is what we finally landed on. This therapist really wanted to convey that sense of being with. That's what she kept coming back to over and over and over again. All right, we're going to get into web copy essentials, but any kind of questions here or thoughts? I know I'm not leaving a ton of space for you guys to kind of do your own work right now, but you want to make space to do this at some point, right? So today you might just take that learning. Carol says, does it matter that someone else uses it elsewhere? I think so. I think if you had it copywritten, there's probably copyright infringement. Most therapists are not going to have that copywritten. I don't know the legalities of it. I just know that I would be kind of annoyed if someone took my slogan after I worked really hard on it. And even with Google recognizing that slogan, even if you're across the country. I know that Apple would be upset if you stole theirs or Facebook, right? So I think just, again, I don't know if there's a true original idea, in the world. I think everything is inspired by something else. I'm a musician, so I think about that a lot, right? A lot of the music is inspired by other music, and that's fine. But you can kind of respect it, be inspired, but also just don't outright copy. Where on a website would your slogan or mission go, right? So going back to above the fold, so they're going to encounter the logo, then they're going to encounter probably either your brand name or your slogan right off the bat. That's how I do it. I think it should be basically one of the first things they encounter. I get stuck with the slogan and elevator speech. Like the slogan doesn't have the who in it. Is that right? Yeah, that's true, but I don't think we need to go straight to the who. I think therapists get really hung up on that, having to be like, well, I work with teenagers and teenage groups and DBT and eating disorders, and it's just kind of like, I know nothing about who you are. Like a lot of people do DBT and work with eating disorders and etc. So I think you got to go beyond that, right? Donald Miller talks a lot about this actually. Um, their slogan for StoryBrand is if you confuse, you lose. And there's another part I'm forgetting, but that's what they do, right? They are a branding and marketing agency, but they help people, again, kind of get clear on what they're trying to say, right? Kind of like what we're talking about today. So, yeah, I think you want to go beyond the elevator pitch because elevator pitch even itself just already feels like, oh gosh, I've got to try and explain this quickly and tell someone in an elevator you're not really interested and uncomfortable. So yeah, your slogan you can get a lot more mileage out of your slogan for sure. All right, man, we are moving through things. We got about 9 minutes left. I'm going to move through this last section and then I'll take questions, right? So again, you can come back, you can take notes now, or you can come back and watch the recording of this. So I'm going to move through this quickly, but you might take some action steps from today and decide, and even just over December, I'm going to work on my mission statement, my slogan, and or maybe some of my website copy. How to write your website copy, or just how to incorporate your brand and let your web copy be driven by your brand, okay? So when in doubt, return to that slogan or brand mantra, right? There's this idea of things being on brand for you, for a company, for a brand. So you want to think about, is this consistent with my core message, right? With the heart of my company, my message and my mission statement. Think about that. Don't overthink this stuff. It doesn't have to be that hard. Is what I'm writing on brand, right? Who am I writing to? Again, we could do an hour on your ideal client or your client avatar, right? I get kind of sick of hearing about it lately. I think a lot of folks are talking about it. I just think we need to move past it and talk more about kind of who you are and what your message is across your ideal client or despite your ideal client. So I have kind of slightly different views on it, and this idea of having to niche down super narrow. I'm thinking that some of that could be a myth for a lot of people. You don't have to niche down that as narrow as some people will kind of preach right now. All right. Who am I writing to, and is my message crystal clear? Hopefully after today you can at least kind of try to come to some agreement with yourself as to what is my message. Can I agree on a message that's good enough for right now and that I think represents me pretty well? Doesn't have to be perfect. What kind of language do my clients use when they talk to me or others in real life, right? What kind of language do I use when I'm talking to my friends or my partner, or whomever, right? Don't go too far from that. Don't get all buttoned up and recite your resume and go through this jargony process. I hate to see that stuff. I just lose people. Therapy is so personal and intimate. If I encounter you, your website, your brand, and I have no idea who the hell you are within the first few encounters with reading, right, or seeing your pictures and stuff like that, I'm gone, right? I'm gone. I need to know who you are, and that you can help me, right? I don't even care about your credentials, at least not right off the bat, right? You don't meet someone on the street or in the elevator, shake hands and tell them your credentials and that you're licensed with this and that and you have your master's degree, etc. So don't do that on your website either. Warm up with people, get to know them a bit, right? Be personal, right? Don't be afraid to kind of push the envelope a little bit with being personal over being jargony or technical, right? It's real straightforward. You can tell I have a lot of feelings about this, huh? All right. So again, just real basic stuff. I'm not going to go too in depth today, but I want you to see how this branding stuff, your slogan, mission statement, etc., can tie into and inform and should inform your web copy. I'll probably do another webinar just on web copy, right? There's a lot we can do with that. But for now, I'm just going to leave you with some kind of rules of thumb, right? So you want to flow again from your slogan to your mission statement to client pain points, even before you talk about what you do or your services. All right. So slogan, you catch them, you hook them, you encourage the right people to read on, you encourage the wrong people to go away. Your mission statement, right? What we do, what our mission is beyond just therapy, right? The impact we're trying to have on the world. And then your client pain points. That's when you transition again to, all right, they've read this far. Let me really sink in and get them even more hooked and talk exactly to their pain, right? Talk directly to their pain. Use headings and lists, right? So avoid huge paragraphs. You do want to, have a good amount of content on your site, and I talk about that in other platforms. But for now, realize that headings and lists are good because people skim the heck out of everything they read, whether it's a website or a magazine or whatever. So you've got to write in a way that people consume content, okay? Still with me? One more slide and we've got coming up for questions, okay? So create an affirmative experience, right? Again, so you want to affirm the right people if they're in the right place, and you want to disconfirm the ones who are in the wrong place, right? That's how we kind of get these ideal clients and get them in the door and affirm that even if you're a generalist or you're a group practice owner like me, you want to appeal to a lot of people with a strong brand and a clear message, but you don't want to exclude too many people, right? So you figure that out as well. But I think you can still have a really impressive website, an impressive slogan, and an impressive aesthetic that attracts a lot of people and doesn't repel too many, right? But if you go to my website, you know that we don't work with kids, right? We don't have like crayons and stuff on our homepage because we don't do that work, right? So there's a lot of little things like that that are super intentional on our part in terms of who I'm attracting, who I'm really talking to. Oh man, I'm out of breath. let's answer some questions and then let's roll into the giveaways. We have made it. It's almost the end of the hour. How crazy is that? Questions. Ashley says, what about the slogan being too specific? Thinking long-term practice will evolve and I don't want to pigeonhole myself. Okay, so if that's the case, then yeah, you could brand kind of wider, right? So with Charlotte Counseling Wellness, it wasn't always a group practice. In fact, I grew it very quickly into a group practice, but at one point it was just me. So you could go a little more broad, but again, still capture something that is authentic for you, that is really the core of kind of what you do, and is catchy and memorable. Doesn't have to be like we help kids between the ages of 4 and 6, right? With ADHD, stuff like that. Dan says, "What about bilingual slogans?" Man, you just want to stump me, huh? No, that's a great question. I should do kind of a section on that. That's um, I think you would find the kind of equivalent, but also keeping in mind if you've well, hopefully if you're doing bilingual therapy, then you're bilingual. So maybe the translation won't be precise, or maybe it'll be a totally different slogan because saying like going from stuck to thriving or whatever might not necessarily translate well to Spanish or German or something. So that's really interesting. You might just have different pages, like you have an English page and a Spanish page where they have slightly different branding assets and different web copy that makes sense for that language and for that group of clients. Super interesting question. What else? What is an effective call to action for a therapist website? That's a great question. So generally, again, you want people to either read more if they haven't read enough on that page, or you want them to get in touch. Okay, so for if you're like most therapists, once they get someone on the phone, they can usually seal the deal. They usually do pretty well. It's all the other stuff leading up until that point that we miss the mark on and we're kind of shaky about. So for us, it's really get in touch, either fill out this contact form that goes to our email, or book time, a 15-minute free call with so and so, or click here to call and the phone starts ringing, right? So I think that probably the best call to action is some form of let's start that contact right away, especially striking while the iron's hot, getting people in therapy in for that first appointment while they're still motivated, they're still on board and ready to go. Maybe one or two questions and we'll roll into the giveaway. So hopefully Kat has those ready, two separate giveaways. All right. Robin says, I think my biggest struggle has been being careful not to come across too cheesy. A lot of websites I looked at come across as very cheesy. Yeah, no, that's good. How do you avoid that while still being to the point? No, yeah, I think you're dead on. I just try to avoid cliches. I hate the therapist cliches. I think that's part of that's how we get into the cheesiness of like, we create a warm, safe space for this and that, and reinvent yourself, find a new you. I don't know. I mean, there might be some cool stuff in there that you can pick through, but we walk a fine line between cheesy and authentic, right? Even the Queen City Wellness here for you. Like we're kind of bordering on cliches and then landing on that, and then it's something that's like, okay, I like that. I still think that's strong. It's not too cliche. Yeah, find your own path, walk your own path. There's just a lot of cliches. I think you got to work around them. You got to figure out what feels cheesy to you versus what feels authentic, and then go with it. There's no right or wrong, but you just want this little tagline to represent you or your brand as best possible, and know that it can and will change. So also know that you're not married to it, right? My kind of branding is evolving over time. Carol says she looked and you can't copyright. Yeah, so there you go. Don't copyright. Might get sued. That's a fun note to end on. Don't get sued. All right, should we do it? Let's roll into it. So our first winner, we are giving away, where is this? I gotta introduce the company first. Well, this private practice workshop. You guys know about what I do by now. Privatepracticeworkshop.com. I do coaching, consulting, and groups, masterminds. I have a podcast that I would love for you to listen to. That's the easiest and the most free way to get a lot of value every week delivered to your phone. iTunes is a good way to get subscribed to the podcast there. What else? So I've talked a little bit about Unconditional Media. Again, this is the company I founded to, thanks, Brian. He says, love your podcast. Awesome. Thank you. I work hard on that. This is the company I founded to do all the heavy lifting for you and your digital marketing. What do? We do gorgeous custom website development. These are all WordPress. They are broken up into 3 payments over 3 months, as little as $200 and some dollars, $230 some dollars for the entry level website package. We take really good care of folks. We work really hard on your website. We don't finish until it's perfect for you. So yeah, and we build websites that you keep and own forever. And we'll teach you how to do your own maintenance. So it's for people who want to own a gorgeous website. We also have all the right SEO plugins set up for you from the get-go on WordPress. So it's a slick deal. We really built some gorgeous sites. And then we do all the marketing stuff for you, right? So we've got separate services for SEO. We've got a dedicated person for that. We've got 2 Google AdWords dedicated specialists that, again, they eat, sleep, and breathe Google AdWords. We do blogging, content creation for you, and then I do copywriting coaching. You've gotten a flavor of that today. Ashley, see you later. Thanks for coming. Let's wrap up here as we're hitting the hour. All right, let's do it. So 1 free month of blog posts. Who is going to be that winner, Kat? Drum roll. Nancy. Nancy won the blog post. Are you still in the room, Nancy? Hopefully. Lee, you don't suck at blog, right? You just don't like doing it. Nancy, I hope you're here because yeah, she's here. Okay, so Nancy, you can email me, john@privatepracticeworkshop.com to get your giveaway. One more, someone's going to get a free coaching session with me, some lucky goose. Rachel Moore, all right. Rachel, you are the winner of the free coaching session. Again, email me, john@privatepracticeworkshop.com, and we'll set that up. I can't wait to meet with you and for Nancy to get her blog posts. Very cool. All right, so special offer, we did this last time, but between now and Friday, if you want a service, if you want to work with our team, $50 off Google AdWords or SEO by the end of the day Friday. I'm also going to tell you right now, we have both these kind of setup services, these a la carte services, and now we also are rolling out a very small beta program of a subscription service, so a smaller monthly fee where we deliver that service on an ongoing basis. If you're interested in that pilot program, shoot me an email today right after this so that I can get you on that list, on that interest list, and you might be able to get a hell of a deal as part of our pilot program and get that on the ongoing support. So yeah, people are already interested. People are like, hell yeah, I want to get on that. Yeah, Dan, it is open to folks using Squarespace instead of WordPress. No problem. We've got a lot of clients in Squarespace. My group practice is on Squarespace, but all my other companies are on WordPress. So yeah, we can roll out services regardless of your platform. No problem at all. I had fun today. I had a lot of fun. So again, send me an email if you're interested in these services, or if you want to book your free consultation. Go to, I'll just type it, privatepracticeworkshop.com/connect to book a free call with me. Try to book it by the end of this week because I'm about to peace out and be bumming around Mexico for a month. I kid you not. Thanks, Brian. Cheers. We're wrapping up. So yeah, you can email me or book your call right away. Unconditional.media, www.unconditional.media. There's no .com. I know that blows your mind as well. Blew mine when I did it. So check out the services there. We've got prices, frequently asked questions. You can purchase services there, or you can email me. I'll send you a custom quote. But do it now. Do it quickly so we can get you rolling. One more offer, right? So $100 off your first month of coaching if you start with me now. So the folks who are in this room, you're already locked in at a lower rate than the rate is now. So, but for now, people can get $100 off that first month because the fee has gone up quite a bit. Take just a handful of coaching people. So I'm very serious to try to take very good care of my coaching clients, and I only take a very small handful. Boom, we did it. privatepracticeworkshop.com. Check out the podcast. Check out whatever you want to check out. Thanks for being here, guys. I hope you have a great December, a great holiday. If I don't see you, get in touch with me, and I hope you will be well. Cheers. Bye.